women, I urge you by the mercies of God, if you are ever going to be anything that God has called you to be, take it from a woman. You need to learn how to separate the experience of your flesh from the reality of your spirit. I am not telling you that the things that happen to you are not happening to you. Don't get me wrong. But I'm telling you that there are two people on the inside of you. The man of the spirit and the flesh that was consistently to try to reduce you to the experiences of the physical. One day I was on the floor wailing. And I said to the Lord, I said, I'm finished. How can this happen to me? I said, then I'm finished, Lord. My ministry is over. I said, it's done. I'm done. I was wailing. I was in pain. My heart, I was bleeding. And the Lord said to me, he said, Isi, if you were to die now and your spirit were to leave your body, what do you think the conversation you'll be having with me would be? He said, do you think that this would be what you'll be saying? You are telling me about this that happened, that happened. He says, if your spirit were to leave your body now, what would your conversation be? And I said, God, if that happened, I'm sure I'll be looking around for Jesus. I'll be saying, where is my Lord? Where is the one I have served with my life? I can't go into the vastness of space on my own. I need Jesus with me. And God said to me, he said, change your conversation. He says, if that is going to be the conversation you will have, he says that should be the conversation you should be having now. He says, because anything, whether it be conversations or actions that is not eternal, is eternally useless. He said, you have spent 1 hour talking to me about things that have no bearing on eternity. He says, you have spent weeks on the floor. You haven't picked up your office. You haven't galvanized your people. You haven't declared my word. You have not built a single thing. You have just been there talking about it again and again and again. He says, if only you knew the threat that you are to the kingdom of darkness, then you would understand that this trouble is indeed a light affliction. He says, it is because of the way you have weighed yourself, and you now believe that your weight is the weight of your pain. You now believe that your weight is the weight of somebody's weakness through which they betrayed you. You now quantify yourself by the brokenness of another man. He says, that's why you're on this floor. He says, you're going to get up from the floor and you're going to change the conversation. He says, because conversations are the doors to realms. Everything you speak about will take you to the realm from which it has come. He says, if you continue to speak about pain and grief and shame, he says, you're going to become a prisoner to that realm. He says, I'm not asking you to deny your experiences, because out of your experience you witness my power, and so you must preach truth. He says, however, I'm telling you to redefine yourself and to say to yourself that your experience is but an opportunity to experience my power and my liberty for the sake of the gospel. And so I have put everything in its rightful place. I am who I am by the mercies of God. But I have come into chains for your sake. And there are weaknesses and struggles that I deal with that I know they have nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with a generation that I'm called to witness to. I need you to understand what I'm telling you. For 20 years, she sat there. I did not become any more anointed when you found out about me. No. I did not start praying more and then my ministry began to boom. No. I did not start studying more and then people began to say, my God, look at... No. I have always done these things. But let me tell you something that shifted. I agreed with God. I had spent years in false humility. And I thought that humility meant that I did not allow myself to be big, to be loud. I felt that humility meant shrinking back. And even though I knew that I could express God in a certain manner, to hide it. I felt that humility meant that I was the same with everybody. And nobody ever felt uncomfortable in my presence. And then the Spirit of God came to me like He came to Deborah. When are you going to be unlocked? When are you going to agree that I could not have invested the kind of things I have invested in you for you to hide it under the bushel of Nigeria? When are you going to partner with me and see what I could possibly do with your life? That was when it changed. And the moment I agreed to my apostolic ordination, something happened to me. And I needed to understand the encounter I had with Jesus, where He spoke to me about the apostolic work He had called me to do, had happened all the way back in 2017. It was not until 2022, 5 years later, that I finally agreed and said, yes, Lord, let's do it. And the moment I did, with speed, great speed, I watched the gates of nations fling open. I watched myself sitting in my room, and then I would get the call and say, oh, the president of this nation would like to meet with you. Can you come? I would sit in my room and I would meet people that, billionaires, I don't have anything, as far as I'm concerned, I don't have anything to say to you. And I will watch the Spirit of God come upon me mightily with wisdom and understanding and counsel to be able to bring direction concerning mighty works that should be done. I want the Spirit of God teach me how to raise funding to do His work, the kind of funds I never imagined could ever come into my hands. And guess what? I watched God do all of these things easily, without having to compromise on integrity, without having to compromise on truth, without having to compromise on simplicity and genuinity. I watched the Lord do it. What did I have to do? I had to agree. She said, in that day, Deborah, arose. It wasn't that the Lord arose in me. It wasn't that the Lord commanded me to. I arose. It was an internal decision. It was a wrestling. I remember I went to Dubai and the Lord said to me, look, I remember praying and praying and praying. And God said to me, you see, this is not what is going to bet your new season. What is going to bet the new season is faith and courage. He says, you've had faith for so long, but you need to add courage to your faith. He says, your faith has been in speaking, not in doing. Your faith has been in declaring and prophesying, not in manifesting. He says, now I need you to allow me add works to your faith. He says, the moment I do, it will change the weight of your witness. And so I began to trust the Lord. And when I go to bed sometimes and I get the Macedonian call, I wake up, I check with my mentors, and I'm like, this is what the Spirit of God is saying. What do you think? And they're like, Issy, we have been waiting for years. Get up and run. And I watch God do it again and again and again. This is not for publicity, but He did it to set souls free. He did it to get many women to wake up. He did it to stir up nations and to stir up people. Jamaica, there is something about the daughters of this land. There is something about the daughters of this nation. But I want to highlight something to you before I go. The Bible says Deborah was not just a prophetess, but she was a judge. She was not just a woman with revelation. She was a woman who carried government. You can't carry the mantle of Deborah if all you have is the witness of the Spirit in the form of revelation. You need to have the witness of the Spirit in the form of government and governance. I found out that my generation is so in love with spooky Christianity that we forget that our God is not spooky at all. We are the ones that call it spooky because we don't have an explanation for these things. It is mysterious to us because we don't have the language of expression for it. But what is mysterious to us in the spirit is average culture. And so we think that this mysteriousness gives us the right to act in the same way. Because you can't explain it means you should not be able to explain anything you are doing. It's a lie from the pit of hell. And so I say to people, if you are going to wake up and you are going to establish anything that will be useful in the kingdom, then you must back it up with kingdom governance. And the reason why I'm saying this to you is because many of the things that we are doing today will not be sustained. Jamaica and the daughters of Jamaica, if God will use you, you have to go back to the drawing book of scriptures. And you need to ask yourself, what are the parameters by which men build? What are the processes that were set in place by heaven and by Zion by which we should build? What are the foundations of our faith? Have I met the foundations? Do I understand what it means to be baptized by the Holy Spirit? Do I understand what it means to be immersed in God Himself? Have I met the standard of leadership? Have I been tested? Have I been verified? Are there people who can stand as witnesses over my life and my calling, and they can attest to the journey of my life? Are there people who can say of a certainty, this one is not a shooting star. She has come to stay as a light over a generation. If you are going to be the things that God has called you to be, oh Deborah, you must understand that Deborah was not just a prophetess, she was a judge. In the 20 years she didn't come out from the pantry, she spent 20 years stewarding governance. She spent 20 years understanding process. She spent 20 years understanding the systems of the spirit. You need to understand that the realm of the spirit is ruled by legalities, and the realm of the spirit is ruled by laws. Anybody that does not understand spiritual mechanics can never go far. If you don't understand how things work, and understand the spiritual mechanics does not begin from the mysterious place. It actually begins from honoring process and government. The moment that the Lord and heaven sees that you honor government and you honor process, the heavens begin to trust you with the process of the spirit. The heaven begins to trust you with understanding how things work. And so no matter what happens, you are never in a jam, because you see, the Lord begins to unveil to you how the mechanization behind everything that you see. But where does it start from? It starts with you honoring government. And so the mantle of Deborah will come upon people on this land and women on this land who are able to trust God beyond their ambition and beyond the need to shine, beyond the need to become the next star in Jamaica. It is not the ones that do it for the sake of fame that God will use. It is the ones that do it for the sake of kingdom establishment. Another thing about Deborah is that Deborah was willing to understand where her strengths laid and where the strength of Barak laid. She understood that in as much as I have the word of the Lord, I am not the one that will go to battle against Sisera. You see, this generation has been corrupted with this whole femininity movement. I believe that part of the ways that Satan is going to stop the women of our time from entering their calling is that he's going to drag them into the very thing that God warned them about in the Garden of Eden. He said, women, please be careful. Because of this fall that has happened, something has happened to your inside. All of a sudden, your desire shall be for the man only, and he shall rule over you. There is this whole thing that you weave around emotions, and you weave around who has accepted you, who took you, who did not take you. And so you have to understand that for you to be able to carry the mantle of Deborah and to carry the trust of God, you have to understand the government of God between a man and a woman. I am not saying to you, do not be feminine, but I'm saying to you that woman is beyond female. There is the femininity that you have because of your vessel. It's the reason why I'm wearing bone straight hair. It's the reason why I'm wearing all these colorful things, because I'm female. But you see, this is not the definition of my spirit. In my spirit, I carry the government of God. In my spirit, I carry the strength of his throne. In my spirit, I carry the word of the Lord like a scepter. And because I carry his word, and his word is the definition of who I am on the inside, I must respect the government of the word. And so there are certain places and territories in the spirit that I know that I cannot navigate on my own. There are certain things I know I should not carry by myself. There are many things I will not do if I don't get the partnership of my husband, because I understand that for you to carry the mantle of Deborah, you need to know where the lines of the spirit are drawn. Be careful. Be careful of an enthusiasm that tells you that all you need is righteous passion, but you don't need kingdom governance. Be careful. Because anything that violates the government of God will violate you by the government of God. And so it wasn't Satan that came and snatched the authority from Adam and Eve. But what he did was that he tricked them to violate God's government. And the moment he did that, their authority landed on his lap. Every time you think you can make an excuse for something that is against God's government, I need you to know that you are trading something in the spirit realm. You can never ever have profit on the other side of the ledger if on this side what you are doing is rebellion. It can never profit you spiritually. For every time you sit at a table to trade with the things that God has commanded you expressly not to do, at that table is the very place where your destiny will be exchanged. Because hiding at the edge of every table that Esau is sitting at is a Jacob that wants to take the blessing from you. And so as a woman, for you to be able to establish this calling over your life, you need to be comfortable with the lines of God's government. Someone said once to me, she said, this was another minister of the gospel, and she said to me, she said, I watch you when you're around all these your kingdom brothers, and you're just very, you need to learn to take your stand. You need to learn to be firm. I said, firm with who? Firm with what? I said, I don't know what you are fighting. I said, but I'm not fighting anybody. I said, listen to me. I don't need to sound like a man to be respected by men. I said, I don't want to be honored in a room simply because I'm female and they needed one more person. Let the weight of revelation and the manifestations of my works be what gives me authority in the midst of the sons of God. I said to her, what are you talking about? I said, when I sit with my brothers in the kingdom, I am still a woman. And so you find something wrong with me getting up and going to make tea for them to drink. And you think it makes my office any less of an apostle? I said it's the same way that if I were to sit in a room with Apostle Toby now and a huge bag should fall on the floor, does he expect me to be the one to carry the bag? Of course not. He's a man. He should pick it up. I'm not going to carry anything heavy where there are men around. I said in the same way, I'm a woman. And there are things that I would do naturally, but it does not change the office that we carry. So I said to her, you are fighting everybody, behaving like a Jezebel up and down. I said, because you feel the need to validate your calling by the strength of your voice and the violence that comes out of your mouth. I said, what you don't understand is that what you are trying to validate is actually what is violating you. I said, because you have to understand how the spirit realm works. And without honor for one another, there is no power in the midst of the brothers. I said, so I will not let Satan trick me into putting an insecurity on the inside of me, trying to validate it with being a woman, so that I can then carry a spirit that comes from the pit of hell. And I end up breaking the very structure of love by which power will enter the church. Deborahs, you need to understand that what I call you to today is not an appearance of strength that is in the manifestation of masculinity. No. I am calling you to the strength that comes in the place of prayer, that comes in the place of intercession, that comes in the place of worship, fellowship with the word, true communion with the Spirit of God, revelation that is unmatched by darkness. This is what it looks like. In the day of Deborah, in the day of deliverance, Deborah knew who to call. She sent for Barak. And she said, listen, I'm a prophetess, I'm a judge, but you are the captain over an army. I will tell you what the Spirit of God is saying, but you are the one that will rally the troops. Another problem that we have when God is calling us as Deborahs to rise up And do not make that mistake, daughters of Jamaica. Is that many times we believe that if our names are not stamped on a vision, then we will not give our strength to the vision. Deborah understood that she was not going to be the one that went to the battlefield, but she could be the one that facilitated the strength of they that will win on the battlefield. If you are going to carry this scepter, you must understand and you must know how to mobilize on behalf of God. You must have a heart that is so big that you can accommodate God's agenda. And as long as the name of your Father is on top of it, you will give your everything to it. There are certain people that will die before their time. And the reason why is not because they did not try to serve God. It is actually because they became like one of the sons of Judah. The Bible says that when the time came for him to go in to fertilize his brother's wife, so that his brother's wife could have children, he refused to fertilize. He would sleep with her, but he would spill the semen on the ground. And the Bible says God saw what he did, and it was evil in his eyes, and God killed him. And so many of us are like that man. You will not give the fullness of your strength to the vision because it will not bear your name. So what you do is that you will enjoy the fellowship and the companionship. You will enjoy tagging them in your Instagram post. You will enjoy saying, oh yeah, I know him, he's my brother. But you will never give the resourcefulness that you have to the vision because it's not going to be your name. And so every time you would rather spill it on the ground than allow it to empower your brother. There are many women whose ministries have ended for this reason. There are many people whose time came, but they did not know that it may be your brother's name in the physical, but in the spirit, God knows whose seed it is. If you don't have this kind of eyes to see beyond the recognition of men, and to see by the recognition system of the spirit, if you don't have that kind of eyes, you will cut short your days. Because somehow the world teaches you to hoard. Somehow the world tells you, don't do it. Oh, tomorrow nobody will remember you. Listen, if you are going to carry the mantle of Deborah, you need to understand what the mantle is. She said, I arose as a mother. I don't think there is a greater symbol of sacrifice than motherhood. I'm a mother of 2 boys. When I travel, I go like a soldier, in and out. I'm coming to Jamaica. I'm getting there. I do only the thing I came to do. The next minute, as soon as I'm done, I'm getting on a flight because I have 2 boys waiting for me. My husband, if he travels for a trip, he can afford to stay. And I'm like, why are you staying 4 extra days? He's like, how am I going to travel and be running back? I'm not you. I'm like, well, you have a point. You're not me. You're not a mother. As the children grow, there are things that a mother has to deal with. There are ways in which you detach yourself so that they can attach themselves to the angel of their destiny. As the children grows, there are ways in which you need to recognize that you may have carried him in your womb, but the moment he comes into the world, you need to cut the umbilical cord. When you think about arising as a mother, you think about arising in sacrifice so that the generations might find their purpose. Please hear me. If you are going to carry this mantle, you must understand that sometimes God raises you so that he can raise the one that he always wanted to raise. Sometimes it's not about you. Before the manifestation of Jesus, John the Baptist was a star. Before the gospel of Christ, John the Baptist was center stage. Imagine if he refused to let Jesus have his way and he was enjoying the fame. What he would have done was that he would have created a confusion in the spirit realm. He had the power to topple over the agenda of God that was set in time from the foundation of the world. What was that power? If he willed in his heart that he would not move for God, the gospel of Jesus, to be born. There are many people who arise as Deborahs, forgetting that when you would write the story of how the victory was won in Judges 5, you cannot write it as yours. You must also recognize that it will be Jael that will kill Sisera, not you. Can you accept the victory of another? Can you afford to fertilize one who may never give you the recognition for their strength? Do you have the power to write in the song of your victory the name of another who does not carry the covenant of your house?